Hi, so welcome to the live stream. I'm going to be channeling Archangel Raphael, and Raphael will come through me to give messages. Yeah, and just before starting, just to mention that I have got a couple of sessions left for next week. However, I will be taking some days off, so that for about 10 days, there won't be any sessions available. However, on the calendar, if you wanted to book, for after those dates, there's sessions available then. But however, if anyone needed anything in that time, I'm still doing 5-minute messages. So if you have any questions, dilemmas, or would like a general 5-minute message, they can still be booked. The groups also will continue. And then I'll go back to doing sessions after that time. So I'm just going to let Archangel Raphael come in and speak through me. I would like you to know that what I'm seeing at the moment is that energies are very much about going forwards in ways where you are very much in yourself, so connected to yourselves, rather than going into other people's energy, coming out of yourself. So, those of you here who struggle with connection to the self, you perhaps may find this time hard because it means that you do need to keep connecting with yourself in order to move forwards, that you will no longer be able to make progress in the world by going into frequencies that are not your own, even very positive frequencies that you may perhaps attune to through someone you know, and go into that automatically, that it will no longer in any way help you, that it is about being true to yourself, true to who you are, being inspired by others. Certainly, you are able to be the sort of person who is able to learn and pick up very positive things from people around you. But then it is about being, in one way or another, grounded in yourself. And if you see something you like in another quality, a talent, it is about developing it in yourself, attuning to it within yourself, not simply going into the other person's energy. And in one way or another, then having a similar gift, talent, ability, because what you are actually doing is going into their energy. So it is just a reminder to those of you who are able to, in a way, mimic others, go into their energy, and in a way take on a part of them and channel it through you, so to speak. Almost like you can be so connected to others that you can start to channel them without realizing it. Those of you who are very much like this, it is not a time where this will enable you to make progress. It won't really work anymore. It may have been a way of surviving, a way of being in the world where you were able to adapt, to integrate. But it is now about being who you are, true to yourself. And I also will say that because of this, you may sometimes feel a bit in need, actually, of more energy. Because those of you who are really good at going into other people's energy, even without realizing it or trying, you will often have some lack in you that needs to be addressed. So it is just a reminder that you may find that you need more time just to be with yourself at this time to go forwards. I also would like to share some information to those of you who are struggling with the day to day. So, I do see that some of you have struggles on a day to day level, keeping up with things, perhaps paperwork, administration, things that really need doing. And you may feel that as you do inner work, you neglect the essentials in life. So, you may even have unpaid bills, things that pile up because you are not able to really keep up with everything. And what I will say to those of you who struggle with this, do not be concerned because energies are changing now. So it has been a time of stagnation, a time where it has been really hard to get things done in an earthly way, very earthly things. But energies are really transforming, and very soon you will find it easy to do these things. So it is just a reminder that what can feel hard for some time can suddenly change. And the reason it has been like this for a while is because there has been something going on around being a a bit like a sort of energy that is really clearing out a lot in lots of people. So you have been affected through your own inner processes and also the external energies, leaving you in a slightly cloudy state, finding it difficult to put your mind to things and get going. But this is going to change very soon. I also would like to communicate that nobody here is particularly that good at realizing things about themselves in a way where you are able to really see something clearly about yourself in such a way that the clarity is absolutely accurate. I do see that many of you here are very insightful about yourselves, but there is always some degree of bias where you may exaggerate things that perhaps you are not so good at, things you have done wrong, things misaligned, or perhaps just ignore them altogether. But what I'm really trying to say is that it is very difficult to have an accurate sense of who you are on a deeper level and also the things in you that need aligning. And that is because when something is very personal to you, it is difficult to see. One way around this is actually very simple, and that is perhaps to try going into a state where you are no longer identifying with yourself on earth and seeing yourself from a place where you are fully in the light, where you are still you, but it is a higher version of you, and it is the part of you that is connected to all other beings, all other life. And one of the ways of doing this is actually by simply being first in yourself and gently allowing yourself to go there through intention and just allowing your energies to rise in a very gentle way. And then when you are there, you can spend a few moments observing things. Some of you here already do this, but those of you who are not, it is a very good practice to see things with neutrality. And then you may notice from this place that perhaps sometimes you are a bit difficult to be around because you can be someone who has a tendency to want to be right. Or you can be someone who is perhaps a bit prone to getting easily annoyed by things, things that other people are not able to help, for example. So, for example, getting easily annoyed if there is some sound, some type of frequency around, and then getting annoyed with people as well about noise they make, but things that they are not in control of because perhaps they are doing something that is a bit noisy for their work. Or perhaps they have frequencies that come through them when they speak that are in some way or another grating on you, but they are not able to help it because they have energies in them which are perhaps not fully yet in the light, but things they have inherited perhaps from their lineages, or emotions they have not fully processed, or anxieties that are there because of traumas they have had. So, what I will say is by observing yourself from a greater height, so to speak, you are able to notice the things about yourself which are perhaps needing more adjustment, where perhaps there is a need for you to sometimes be able to expand the range of what you can tolerate, whether it is by perhaps working with your energy and asking that it slightly closes down in some areas so you are not so sensitive to some things. Or perhaps it is by just adjusting your viewpoint, understanding that some things in life happen and no one is to blame. But whatever it is, as you do this, you start to notice that actually life becomes easier for you as well. Because as you adjust things in yourself, you will actually notice other people adjust things automatically, that it is a very contagious energy. So it is almost like as you do it, people pick up on this frequency and start to do the same. So it is good for you to know that it is something that is very good at the moment for people to do generally, just so then you can have an accurate view of yourself and make adjustments, including the really positive things about yourself that you don't fully appreciate, acknowledge, and as a result, you may feel unacknowledged by others, but it is a reflection of you. And as you do this regularly, your self awareness builds up, self criticism goes down, and actually you make faster progress in life because you are able to take responsibility for what is yours, both the positive and the things that need a bit more adjustment, alignment, in order to be harmonious within you and be harmonious in the world around you. The other thing I would like you to know is that those of you who are very sensitive, it is a quality that can be harnessed, used in order to be of greater service. But it can also be a hindrance to you in everyday life, but also to those around you, those close to you. Because sensitivity can also lead to a lot of irritability, annoyance, even being very critical of those around you, of your environment, of the world generally. And those of you who are in this frequency, your sensitivity then becomes more like a curse, both on you and others. And I am saying all this out loud because a lot of people who are very much about working with the light are very sensitive. But it is about harnessing this in a way where there is actually benefit for you and others. And the way that it is making your life difficult can actually also be worked with in a way where you notice things. And then what you are able to do is really get a sense of what you can do about it on a level that is to do with adjusting your energy in everyday life. So you can use your gifts at certain times, and other times you can perhaps turn some parts of your sensitivity down, just so you can get on with everyday life. But it is then also about creating a life that is agreeable to you, where you can actually function well as well. So a bit of both. But it is just a reminder that it is really important at the time to go into these things. And then in this way, you are able to go deeper into the really positive aspects of your gifts, your sensitivities. And then it also means generally there is more harmony in the world, less energy around really making others feel that there is something wrong with them for not being able to, in one way or another, be around you because of something that they are doing, something they are, which you are noticing through your sensitivity is not quite aligned or in harmony. As you are able to be more in one way or another, able to be in different energies, through this acceptance, a lot automatically changes. Then people can be as they are, and then change will come at the right time for them. Perhaps even through the acceptance alone, change is able to come. But it is good for you to know all these things so you can understand the impact you have on your environment, on what is around you, the really positive impact you can have, but also the negative impact. And as you go towards the positive, then your life becomes better in all ways, more abundant. You feel good about life, and so do other people around you. I will say one more thing on this subject, that when you are very sensitive as well, you may notice things as well, such as noticing when something is not aligned, when people speak, the things they say. And it is really good for you to know that the noticing is enough, that as you notice something, it is like an energy, an observer energy, and it brings things into alignment. So it is also good for you to know that when you are very sensitive and can just be centered and just notice rather than always try to correct or make people feel that they are not right. If you are able to observe in a neutral way, things will automatically come into alignment because you have noticed it from a higher place. The energy is then known about and it will be corrected either by the person then noticing themselves or something happening in that person's life to help them correct themselves. So it is good for you to know all these things. The final message I have for all of you is that life is not really meant to be a battleground. So life ultimately is meant to be a joyful experience for everybody. Nobody is excluded from this. It is not meant to be a fight between people, a fight between people of different races, different type of backgrounds, between people who believe different things, have different points of view, people who are perhaps fighting over things which are to do with race, skin colour, or things that are perhaps more minute and less noticeable, such as perhaps the way that people are presenting themselves generally in life, how they are doing things, different ways of being, doing things. But all these things really do not matter when you are very much immersed in the frequency of really wanting to live in a world where there is harmony, peace between all beings, whoever they are. And as you are able to go into this frequency more and more, then the right things come through you. And sometimes within this, it is about sometimes having to say something, to speak out about something, something that is happening that is not right. But sometimes it is about just being able to stay in that, regardless of what other people are doing. Stay in that place of peace, harmony, and oneness. But what I'm really trying to say is that life is not meant to be a battle at all. And when it becomes one, something is not really in the light anymore. The battle is going to, in one way or another, ultimately fizzle out because it is not really coming from the light. And it is good for you to know this, that really there is nothing to fight about. There is absolutely no battle between you on a deeper level, that you are all here for a purpose. You are all ultimately here to live in peace, in harmony with each other. That it is not really important whether you have more of this or more of that. It doesn't really matter at all. And what really matters is that you are able to live in peace and harmony within and without. And as you are able to do this, you start to feel inside that life is really worth living. That is ultimately what makes life worth living. And everything else is simply there, perhaps to add some more pleasure, enjoyment, things that may bring you some joy. But it is not the ultimate meaning of life. So it is just a reminder. I have no more to say. The week ahead will be a good one. It won't be a week that is necessarily full of lots of things that happen, but more a week that will be peaceful and calm, where things can move forwards in a really positive way. That is all. Hmm. Yeah, so thank you everyone for listening. And yes, I'm wishing you a really good weekend and a good week ahead, and lots of love to all of you.